Hello and welcome to your daily dose of Satoshi's news. Today's date is Sunday, the 11th of May, 2025. The year BSV comes alive. Branch your threads, expand your mind with treechat.ai or your post put on chain. Right, let's see what we've got today. Quite looking forward to seeing this. Look, Cointelegraph says, well, according to Saylor, GregCoin yet to hit 150k because outsiders are ghosting Michael Saylor. So I'm assuming this is how he's saying that outsiders aren't interested. Well, that's because there is no utility on the chain. There is no reason for anybody to get into a Ponzi scheme. There is no demand for it. There's no reason to buy it. Maybe he's just starting to realize this. What a fool. Cointelegraph also says UK to become safe harbour for crypto with new draft rules. All right, well, let's have a look at that. CoinGeek just reporting on this, saying fight over billions in damages over BSV delisting heats up. So we'll get into that. Some posts here by CSW, just more Twitter shenanigans. We'll have a quick look at the figures because they've been looking quite juicy recently. Some 365 days of Bitcoin history, and then that'll be the end of the show. Right, let's get into it.
Greg says he's Satoshi, like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1 million strong and transactions flying free. Just wait for the Terra node, you'll surely see.
Alright, here we go. So let's see what Saylor's saying about this then. So Michael Saylor says those less committed to a GregCoin took the opportunity to exit the market after GregCoin's price surge. Strategy founder Michael Saylor says GregCoin hasn't reached $150,000 yet because holders without a long-term outlook have been selling off while a new cohort of investors are beginning to enter the market. Quote here, I think we're going through a rotation right now, Saylor said on Coin Stories podcast with Natalie Brunel on May 9th. The lack of 10-year investor mindset led to GregCoin's sell-off. Saylor said lots of non-economically interested parties are rotating out of the asset. However, at the same time, a new cohort of investors are entering. A lot of GregCoin, for whatever reason, was left in the hands of the government and the hands of lawyers and in the hands of bankruptcy trustees, he added. Saylor said that many of these trustees do not have a 10-year investor mindset, and as a GregCoin price began to rally, they took advantage and thought this is a good exit point to get liquidity. Quote here, so I think people less committed to the long term have taken the opportunity to exit the market, and a whole new class of investors are entering by way of ETFs and by way of GregCoin treasury companies. What a load of shit that is. After GregCoin reached its all-time high of $109,000 on Jan 20th, just hours before the US President Donald Trump presidential inauguration, it experienced a downtrend, falling as low as $76,273 on April 9th before starting to show signs of recovery. On May 8th, GregCoin reclaimed $100,000 for the first time since Feb 1st after Trump opposed tariffs. The recent price surge has pushed strategies of GregCoin holdings to 50.27% above their average GregCoin purchase price of $68,000 at the time of publication. The firm holds 555,450 GregCoin, valued at approximately $57 billion, according to Saylor tracker data. $57 billion. Mind you, it's nothing compared to Satoshi Nakamoto as well, then we know that. Saylor is surprised at the US government's sentiment shift. Spot GregCoin ETF posted $564 inflows on 564, is that like million or something? Inflows over the past 5 days, past 5 trading days, according to Farside data. Meanwhile, Saylor said he's not surprised that the US government hasn't yet bought GregCoin for its strategic GregCoin reserve, which Trump signed an executive order on March 7th. The reserve is holding GregCoin that was forfeited as part of criminal or civil asset forfeiture proceedings. However, Saylor didn't anticipate their stance to quickly change so positively following Trump's inauguration. That was a really shit article. There really wasn't a lot in there at all, literally just filling that with fluff. But he hasn't realised. I mean, this is why you need a use case. You need to buy it to use it, and Blockstream and the deep state have purposely made it unusable and then told people that you're not meant to use it and stick with the good old, central bank fiat currency, which you would do if you wanted to maintain your economic power. I mean, you've got to ask yourself, how can someone supposedly that smart not see this? I mean, literally, the dumbness is on another level. But then when you see the sort of shitcoiners in the space, shitcoiners with shit for brains, I suppose you can kind of see where it's coming from. They've also said here, UK to become safe harbour for crypto with new draft rules experts. All right. The UK has unveiled draft crypto rules that align digital assets with securities law. Massive fail. Aiming to position the country as a safe harbour. On April 29th, UK Finance Minister Rachel Reeves unveiled plans for a comprehensive regulatory regime aimed at making the country a global leader in digital assets. Under the proposed rules, crypto exchange dealers and agents will be regulated similarly to traditional financial firms, with requirements for transparency, consumer protection, and operational resilience. The UK Treasury said in a statement released following Reeves' remarks. Per the statement, the Financial Services and Markets Act 2000 Crypto Assets Order 2025 introduces 6 new regulated activities, including crypto trading, custody, and staking. Rather than opting for a light touch regime similar to the EU's markets in crypto assets, the UK is applying a full weight of securities regulation to crypto, according to UK-based firm Wiggin. That includes capital requirements, governance standards, market abuse rules, and disclosure obligations. The UK's draft crypto regulations represents a meaningful step towards embracing a rule-based digital asset economy. Dante Disparta, Chief Strategy Officer and Head of Global Policy at Circle, told Cointelegraph, by signalling a willingness to provide regulatory clarity, the UK is positioning itself as a safe harbour for responsible innovation. Disparte added that proposal framework can provide the predictability needed to scale responsible digital financial infrastructure in the UK. And then this is the MICA, Crypto Alliance. The UK just proposed a major shift in crypto asset regulation. The draft rules from HM Treasury bring trading, custody, staking and stablecoins under existing UK financial laws, embedding crypto into the FSMA framework rather than building a separate regime. A new key contrast with MICA, lending, borrowing and staking, and explicitly in scope. Can't be bothered with the rest of it. UK's new crypto rules are a net positive. So Ravuga UC Zayed, the Chief Operational Officer and COO at Bitget Exchange, also expressed optimism regarding the new regulations, claiming that it is a net positive for the industry. I think a lot of companies recently exercised or hesitated to enter the UK because they were not clear about the activities, products and operations need the FCA authorization. Firms finally get clear definitions of qualifying crypto assets and know exactly which activities, trading, custodies, or staking or lending need FCA authorization. For exchanges, including Bitget, the UK's draft rules mean they need full approval from the Financial Conduct Authority to offer crypto trading, custody, staking, or lending services to UK customers. The rules also give companies 2 years to adjust their systems, like capital and reporting. Mapping each service line to the new perimeter adds compliance overhead, but that clarity lets us plan product rollouts and invest in local infrastructure, Zaid said. I'm not going to go into the rest of that. I really cannot be bothered. We know that the UK government are just going to be scamming, basically. Just wanted to. They shut all those other firms down, brokerage firms and all that were doing an absolutely stellar job. And literally, they were a brokerage firm. A brokerage firm is literally a broker. They provide a service, and they shut that down. Literally, no explanation for it whatsoever. Absolutely outrageous. Criminal is what it was. Alright, let's get into this then. So CoinGeek saying fight over billions in damages over BSV delisting heats up. Right, let's see what they're saying here then. An appeal over precisely how much money BSV investors can recover off a group of digital asset exchanges accused of unlawfully colluding to delist BSV took place in London this week, with the representative of the BSV investor class arguing that the impact on BSV's growth should entitle holders to more than £9 billion, that's $11.9 billion in damages. The claim was initially brought against the four exchanges, Bitylicious, Kraken, Shapeshift and Binance, over their delisting of BSV from their platforms in 2019. According to BSV Claims Limited, the lead claimant, which represents more than 200,000 BSV investors affected by the delistings, the exchanges unlawfully entered into an anti-competitive agreement which effectively prevented, restricted or distorted competition within the United Kingdom in violation of the UK's Competition Act 1998. BSV Claims Limited argues that due to the delisting, the price of BSV fell, causing damages to asset holders. Perhaps most importantly, it argues that the delisting also deprived BSV of the opportunity to develop into a top-tier digital asset, further depriving BSV holders of an expected increase in future value. According to an expert report from Oxera Economics, the total damages are estimated to run up to £9.9 billion or $13 billion. The Competition Assets Tribunal certified that the claim in 2024, meaning the case was given the green light to trial. However, at the certification hearing, the CAT ruled that the BSV holders were obliged to mitigate their losses by exchanging BSV for another digital asset once they were made aware of the delistings, drastically limiting the damages that could be recovered from the foregone growth of BSV as an asset. In essence, the CAT ruled that BSV holders covered by the CPO could at most be able to recover the difference between the price of BSV at the time of the delisting and the time the holders were aware or ought to have been aware of the delisting. BSV Claims Limited has appealed that aspect of the ruling, which was the subject of this week's hearing. The Court of Appeal Tribunal appeared to bristle at the figures offered by the expert economic report provided to the CAT, which suggested that if not for the delisting, BSV could be worth enough to put their recoverable damages in the billions. They also questioned the degree to which assets held on the delisted exchange were lost entirely and how practical it was for holders to use their private keys to sell them on another exchange. Wardell KC of BSV Claims argued that the questions whether a suitable alternative for BSV existed at all, at what point holders should have known of the delisting, and whether BSV holders might have had justifiable reason to hold on to their investment, should not have been dismissed without the benefit of a full trial. This is particularly so, it was argued, given that digital assets are a still developing area of law. The force of BSV Claims' argument is clear. Unlike other markets where investments might be highly fungible, an investment in a digital asset is usually made for a specific reason. A purchaser of BSV isn't simply trying to get on any digital asset investment. The purchase is likely made with particular investment thesis that does not apply to other digital assets. Suggesting that BSV holders at the time of the delisting could have simply swapped BSV for another coin is closer to suggesting that an investor in lumber could have mitigated their losses by swapping it for equities. They are different assets entirely. For BSV investors, BSV is the only show in town. That is true. The CAT, however, appeared to view the digital asset market as a singular organism which contains only specifically a different asset. Superficially different assets. Yeah, I mean, that was the impression I got. Complicating the hearing was the Court of Appeals seemed to consider that the written ruling by CAT was poorly articulated, which affected the quality of the parties' written submissions today. The court reserved its judgment, meaning it will be handed down at a later date. No matter the outcome of the appeal hearing, the BSV investor class action is set to barrel towards trial. It's simply a question of how much money the exchanges will be on the hook for should they lose a trial. Well, again, any argument put forward is never going to win unless they put forward the economic fundamental argument that I keep trying to ram home to people, but they just don't get. There is no way they'll succeed without them. No way. Because they'll just lump them all together. Well, it's another crypto. It's another digital piece of crap. You know, they should have just swapped it. What's the difference? You know? Right, let's have a... it's 15 minutes already. Let's have a quick look at some of Craig's posts here. Again, I mean, there's a man on fire here. Man on fire. Welcome to... I welcome you to Spam or BSE. CSW said, yes, we welcome spam. Yes, we receive it in all its gelatinous splendor, with inboxes swollen like the gizzards of geese fattened for a feast no one ordered. Spam arrives not in whispers, but in chorus, like monks in tin helmets, pounding the table to him or him. No sane god would accept. And what's this? So much to go through. Literally, I can't keep up. Can't keep up. A true sign of intelligence is understanding that other people may have opinions that differ from yours, but you don't have to attack or debate them over it. Well. The thing is though, people are confused about crypto, and it doesn't matter how much you try and explain it. Like, they've sort of like developed their own sort of idea on it that they just can't move away from. It's like their cognitive dissonance safety net, pretty much. I thought this post was interesting. So Vikram has responded to Regularus received when the obviously doesn't have a clue what Bitcoin is, and he's just asking, is there 21 million? Has no idea that Bitcoin is BSV. But Vikram has posted this. Again, I'll have to find the date of this email. And it's highlighted this bit saying the bandwidth might not be as prohibitive as you think. A typical transaction would be about 400 bytes. ECC is nicely compact. Each transaction has to be broadcast twice. So let's say 1 kilobyte per transaction. Visa processes 37 billion transactions in FY 2008, or an average of 100 million transactions per day. That many transactions would take 100 gigabytes of bandwidth, or the size of 12 DVD or 2 HD quality movies, or about $18 worth of bandwidth at current prices. If the network were to get that big, it would take several years, and by then sending 2 HD movies over the internet would probably not seem like a big deal. He's pretty much right there. Yeah, pretty much right there. Yeah, you can do that on things like WeTransfer and other ones that have got larger data capacities now. So yeah, great stuff, loving that. Let's have a quick look at these figures then. So we've got genuine Bitcoin as $41. Transactions are down, but the block size 93.39%. And I've just seen transactions increasing recently, but I've got a big block on there of 114 megabytes. All the figures here. 51,000 times cheaper to transact on Bitcoin over GregCoin. Mining Bitcoin a 13.9% comparable loss, so the profitability still being carefully managed. 9.9% more profitable to mine on Fisher Price Cash over GregCoin. 1% more profitable to mine on Bcrash over GregCoin. Let's have a look at these pie charts, because this is where the politics lies. The politics is in the pie charts. GregCoin other miners 6.25. Bcrash other miners 52. Fisher Price Cash, who cares? Bitcoin, let's have a look at the mining here. See, look at the transactions just gone up to, well, in the unconfirmed ones, 63,000 now. So that's just more than doubled from 24,000. 63,000 in the block. Let's have a look at the mining. TAL 28.8, Q 28.19, QD-Link 22.1, SA100 15.4, Gorilla Pool moving up a little bit, 5.0, 5.3, very good. And look at this. This is GregCoin. So, well, this is Bitcoin against GregCoin here. So had a nice little rally here. Look at that. Look at what was going on last night. Jeepers, it was like rocketing up. Look, they're having trouble suppressing the price. They brought it down now because I think they've just pumped something like 100 million into the market to pump the price of GregCoin. But that's all they're doing, just pumping the price of GregCoin. And look at that, Bitcoin against USD. trending up nicely there. Currently at $41. That's pretty good. Some 365 days of Bitcoin history. On the 10th of May 2017, at Snyko, Bitcoin, well, that's a GregCoin developer over at Core, tech engineer at Blockstream, made the first Lightning Network transaction using the Litecoin mainnet. After the activation of the SegWit soft fork on Litecoin, Deca created a patch for the C Lightning implementation to make it work on Litecoin. The transaction was conducted between two nodes managed by Deca, one in Zurich and the other one in San Francisco. A channel was created between the two nodes and a payment of 100 millisatoshis. One satoshi was made. On the 11th of May 2019, there was a snapshot here, a weekly snapshot of world currencies. And it's got Bitcoin here. So look at that. It's got price 7 days ago. Change. And this was Bitcoin moving up against all of the world currencies there. Like literally all of them. Japan, China, Japan, European, or the euro, the dollar, and the GBP. And look at that. And this was back in 11th of May 2019. 2019 is when that one was. Nice. Nice. Right, there we go. That's a 21-minute show. We'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed it. So as ever, if you enjoyed these updates, please ding your donations for your appreciation to either Satoshi at Zenbit.com, Handcash.io, Rockwallet.me, Simply.cash, Relator.com, or Senti.ch. We'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. As ever, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.
2 years ago, you got SegWit, which we lied and cheated and stealed, and I was part of the lying and cheating and stealing to get SegWit, to get Lightning, which, by the way, had critical vulnerabilities and lost people's money.
The king still has one more move.